When it comes to the absolute state of Western gaming, it can usually be summed up pretty nicely with the sentence, things aren't going great for most out here. The sad truth is that the majority of these westernized games are either flopping or not doing as well as their Eastern contemporaries are. And now it seems between Marathon still causing damages to the overall state of Bungie as players just keep rejecting this thing, you also got Korean studios knocking on Activision Blizzard's door begging to revive StarCraft 2's universe. Are we about to see a gaming renaissance, or is this just corporate cash grab nonsense like usual? Well, let's get into it. Firstly, Asmongold has gotten into some hot water recently like he usually does with his take on Marathon's characters. Take a listen to what he said here.
I think that pretty much every single circumstance, it's always a bad idea to make characters that are not conventionally attractive. Because this is, again, this is a shooter game, and shooter games are going to be primarily played by men. So if you're making a shooter game that's primarily made for men, then you should make sure that all of the female characters in the game are. And I know this might sound crazy to say, but I'm just going to say it. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. Because that's what people want to do. That's what girls will cosplay. Girls don't want to cosplay ugly, weird-looking, androgynous, creepy characters. And all of that, like, think about how much advertising Marvel Rivals gets because of how many girls try to cosplay the characters.
Yeah, well, I already know what Asmongold is saying here is going to ruffle people, but he's right. Unfortunately, for the naysayers, the truth is that the actions of players, especially female ones, contradict whatever weird reality they try to impose on others. Look at all the cosplays you can find online right now of women dressed as female characters from recent games. Especially in the case of stuff like Marvel Rivals. What do you notice about all of the cosplays? Yeah, it's that these women are all cosplaying as attractive and cute characters. Ever wonder why you didn't really see any Concord cosplays when that game launched? Because it's pretty hard to convince these female cosplayers to dress like your characters when their options in Concord are an old grandma with wrinkles everywhere or Daw with his big blue jacket. The point is that what Asmongold is saying is, unfortunately for many who hate him, really true. That these sorts of games exist and are supported, like always, by casual players and outside of the game. It always comes down to their ability to resonate with the subgenre of communities that exist outside of these games too. Which, of course, one of these sub-communities that keep these games popular is cosplaying. Again, go look at Marvel Rivals' second season that just debuted. There's already cosplays of Emma Frost on the internet. Gee, I wonder why, when you look at Emma Frost's design, that this would be a thing so quickly. Could it be that the massive thunder thighs are things that dudes are into, or the fact that she looks like that she can choke you? The answer, by the way, is all of the above. So people can get mad about this all they want, it's the truth. And let's not try to lie and say these shooter games are not directly associated with male players first. Sure, there's female first-person shooter players too, but we know that the number of female versus male players in the FPS space is completely dwarfed in comparison. The same way I'm pretty sure the shoe and makeup market is resoundingly more tilted towards the female demographic over that of the men out there who wear the same things. And like always, when Asmongold goes and says something controversial, the internet loses its mind like it always does. Some users want him dead or cancelled, and the other half is like, yeah, he's right. As this one user responded to this by saying, you don't need effable characters to have a successful game. Bless your heart, random user, but the answer is you kind of do if you want your live service game to last longer than a carton of milk in the dairy aisle. Look, can we stop pretending like sex doesn't sell so we don't offend the feminists that are in the building? These people are a big reason why so many games have sucked for so long, and all the squandered potential that we've seen in the gaming space and beyond has happened the way that it has. Saints Row's reboot was just like Concord, a soulless, androgynous slop simulator that gave people nothing that they wanted and then just died in the process. And it's not a good thing that people are looking at Marathon here and unironically saying the thing it reminds them the most about is none other than Concord. That's a big red flag if I've ever seen one. Now look, Asmongold's not saying that Marathon needs to be a waifu simulator, though, knowing his chat, they would probably fund it, and I mean, who can blame them? He's actually arguing that the game should lean into aesthetic appeal. Think about it, Halo had Cortana all the way back when. A blue woman character who was really smart, powerful, and, yep, designed to turn heads alright. World of Warcraft had characters like Sylvanas, who was badass, and let's be real, she is a literal goth queen fantasy for many. Asmongold's point is that Marathon's characters feel sterile, like they're trying so hard to be inclusive that they actually forgot to be interesting instead. And in a game about high stakes PvP, you need characters with personality, swagger, something to make you care about what's actually going on in the first place, but here's where it gets juicy. Asmongold's take isn't just about sexy characters, it's actually about authenticity, cause games are art, right? They're supposed to evoke emotion, whether it's awe, fear, or yeah, maybe a little thirst too. And when developers play it too safe, we get soulless designs that feel like they were approved by a corporate focus group instead. And let's be honest, Bungie's been on a weird streak lately. Destiny 2's microtransactions, not really good. Marathon's art direction looks like a sci-fi PowerPoint. All Asmon's calling for is soul, not just eye candy, and I think people dogpiling on him are the same kinds of people who also just get upset when the things they also never support fail like they always do. So is Asmongold's take based or cringe? I would say it's the former with a side of chaos. He's not wrong. Games do need to take risks. The problem with the absolute state of our industry right now is that nobody is really willing to take risks anymore because everything is just so damn expensive. To convey my point, according to IGN, a bunch of Korean studios are now pitching new Starcraft games to Activision Blizzard. Here's the article and it's titled, Blizzard reportedly receiving new Starcraft game pitches from well-known Korean developers. The original source of this entire story, however, is this article here from Asia Today, where apparently places like Kraft and Nexon, amidst others, are all fighting over the right to make new Starcraft games. The 4 Korean companies in total currently are in a war with each other, and it's pretty wild. The first of these is NC Soft. You may know them for games like Guild Wars 2. The next company is Nexon. These people made MMOs like MapleStory. Then you have Netmarble, who is making that new Game of Thrones King's Road game. And finally, you have Krafton, which has made games like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds and the Callisto Protocol, to name just a few. So these 4 South Korean publishing giants are all fighting each other to make new Starcraft games. And if you don't know, Starcraft is basically like the godfather of esports, especially in South Korea, where pros like Boxer and Bisu are treated like absolute rock stars. Starcraft 2, it's still a banger, but it's been on life support since Blizzard shifted to Overwatch and Diablo cash cows instead. So what's the deal with this Korean comeback, and how does this tie to Marathon and everything else I hear you say? The point is that what these South Korean development studios are attempting to usher in with this Starcraft revival is exactly what the industry needs right now as a shot in the arm. Marathon is very clearly made by Western developers with a Western mindset when it comes to their character design. We're talking androgynous features, nobody's really male or female, everything just kind of looks genderless slop pretty much. But then you go to Korea, and sexy women, let's be real, that's their bread and butter over there. And South Korea, especially when it comes to their devs, they live and breathe franchises like Starcraft. Starcraft 2 is basically the national sport of South Korea, if we're being honest. If you think I'm lying, here's an article from way back when in July 2010. That's 15 years ago, where CNN documented how the nation of South Korea was adopting Starcraft 2 Wings of Liberty essentially as their national sport at the time. Here's a little lore for you. The original Starcraft came out in 1998. This was also during the Asian financial crisis, which was, at the time, devastating South Korea's entire economy. But when Starcraft came out, it was seen as a cheap alternative for many Korean players to enjoy amidst their whole company's economy, blowing up. As one person interviewed in this now 15-year-old article stated here, it was in the middle of an economic recession and Starcraft was easy, cheap entertainment. It really took over and just captivated a nation. So when I tell you that Starcraft is pretty much the national sport of South Korea, I'm not lying, dude. The people over there love that stuff. And in terms of where Starcraft is right now, it's, well, let's be honest, guys, it's pretty dead, all things considered. Nothing really has been going on of much importance when it comes to the brand for years now. As the IGN article stated, Blizzard shifted their focus more so onto Overwatch and things like Diablo 4 instead in recent years, which has not left much manpower to really create anything within StarCraft's world for a long time. And this is why I wanted to tell this story here, because I don't see it being covered enough on the internet really. which is that the resurgence of many IPs that fans want to see are very likely not going to be done by Western hands. The cold reality is that the activism of the West has, for all intents and purposes, cooked a lot of game development studios over here in Canada, America, and then some. Many developers that have joined these studios have been raised on the dying concepts of identity politics. This is why I firmly believe the resurgence of these properties that we love are likely going to be revived and brought back, but not by Western hands. Despite these IPs being built there in the first place, but let's be honest with ourselves, these Korean-led studios, they know stuff like the Starcraft universe better than Blizzard's current executives ever could. I bet the people who currently run Blizzard probably think a Zergling is like a TikTok dance or something. And South Korea's esports scene, they just never really let StarCraft die. Tournaments like the Africa StarCraft League are still pulling crowds, and now with Blizzard under Microsoft's umbrella, there's a chance for a StarCraft renaissance on a big way. Maybe a new RTS, a shooter, hell, a StarCraft Battle Royale. Okay, maybe not the last one, but a guy can dream. So I hear you ask, why does this all matter? Because StarCraft isn't just a game, guys, it is a cultural juggernaut. It showed the world that esports could be a career, that strategy games could be sexy, and so too can the cosplays. I mean, this isn't even just StarCraft related. Go look at any female Blizzard cosplayer for even like Warcraft 2. Just go type in Sylvanas cosplay and you'll see what I mean. And that brand recognition and storytelling could easily blend with the competitive play that fans worldwide are yearning for. These South Korean studios pitching new games isn't about nostalgia. It's about reclaiming a legacy to them. And Blizzard's been coasting on World of Warcraft and Diablo microtransactions, but Korea's out here saying step aside and we'll show you how it's done. And honestly, I'm here for it. Because if there's anyone who can bring back the Western renaissance of gaming, ironically, it would be the Eastern developers being able to use these licenses to actually give people what they want. According to IGN's report, NCSoft has already pitched a new RTS StarCraft game to Activision Blizzard that they want to solely develop using the license. Then Nexon has pitched what IGN is calling a unique idea for the franchise. This then makes me wonder if they want to create maybe a StarCraft Souls-like game or an action RPG in general. After all, need I remind you that very recently Nexon released the amazingly well-received The First Berserker Kazan, which I recently platinumed myself, and I loved my time with that game. I 100%ed that whole game in under 2 weeks, and that's not because the game is small or anything. It's simply because Kazan was too damn good to put down, and currently, as of this video coming out, it's easily my game of the year by a landslide. I loved Kazan. Its combat was amazing, its graphics looked slick, and the RPG systems felt very rewarding. Now imagine Kazan, but with a StarCraft paint job. You're tearing Zergs to pieces or fighting a Souls-like Protoss boss. Yeah, fellas, sign me up, I'm there day one. Other pitches included mobile spin-off games of StarCraft and more, but the point is that these South Korean studios want to bring back these Western franchises in a really big way. And let's be honest, guys, if these Western IPs were to be brought back by these Western studios these days, the likelihood is that they'll still somehow be ruined because of the activism that rots these companies even to this day. We're talking Kerrigan or Sylvanas looking like Dylan Mulvaney instead of who they're meant to be pretty much. But if Activision Blizzard were allowing this to happen, we could be seeing a new Western renaissance that is unironically being pushed by Eastern developers instead. But of course, it's not all as easy as it sounds because, like always, there's a catch. Activision Blizzard's not exactly known for playing nice with people. Will they let Korean studios take the reins? Or will they instead just slap a $70 price tag on another StarCraft remaster with loot boxes and turn everyone into androgynous slop fiends and said so journalists don't cancel them? But okay, let's zoom out for a second, alright? Asmongold's marathon rant and Korea's StarCraft push aren't just random news. They're symptoms of a much bigger issue. Gaming's having an identity crisis right now in case you haven't noticed. On one hand, you've got devs like Bungie that are playing it very safe, making games that feel like they were designed by a spreadsheet for people who think there's infinite gender still despite Orange Man winning and all of that. And on the other hand, you've got passionate creators, like these Korean studios that are fighting to bring back the soul of gaming. So what's going on? Why should we even care? Because if you ask me what made gaming so incredible in the first place, it was because it used to be about taking risks and giving players what they want. Starcraft gave us epic stories and brutal competition. Halo gave us Master Chief and Cortana, characters that you felt for. But now, usually, AAA games are just obsessed with broad appeal, which is code for don't offend anyone pretty much. And Asmongold's right. When you strip away the edge, the personality, you get Marathon's forgettable cast. I challenge you right now, without Googling anything, to name all of the Marathon operators off the top of your head. Also, what's the name of the world that they're fighting on in the game? And tell me the name of a single gun in that new game right now, again, without Googling it. Go use your brain. Likely, most of you can't, and by the way, neither can I, which kind of proves my point that it's already forgettable and we haven't even played it yet. Meanwhile, Korea's out here trying to remind us what made gaming special: passion, creativity, and a little bit of chaos and sexiness. And if you ask me what video game development, especially its creativity and vision, needs right now, it's a little bit of that chaotic energy. Here's the truth, alright? Let's be real. The industry is at a crossroads. Do we want games that feel like products or games that feel like art? And Asmongold's take, as wild as it was, is a call for devs to stop being cowards. Korea's Starcraft push is proof that fans and creators still will believe in bold ideas, but it's on us, the players, to demand better. Stop pre-ordering soulless sequels, support devs who take risks, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get a Marathon with characters worth simping for and a Starcraft that slaps harder than a Zerg rush. Alright, before we get too hyped, let's talk about the other elephant in the room, Activision Blizzard. These are the folks who gave us Starcraft 2, sure, but also Diablo Immortal, the game that asked, do you guys not have phones? And I mean, Korean studios might have big dreams. But they are pitching to a company that loves microtransactions more than Asmongold loves World of Warcraft, so what could go wrong? Imagine this, Korean devs pitch a sick StarCraft shooter. Blizzard says we love it, but let's add a $20 Zergling skin and a battle pass for extra supply depots, or worse, they just shelve the project because it's not profitable enough. And Marathon, Bungie's already under Sony's thumb. And we know how Sony loves their safe cinematic third-person shooter games, with Concord imploding as well like 1,000 suns already. And Bungie is already on thin ice to deliver a banger, or they'll probably get gutted too. The thing about what Asmongold's saying is that it could just end up being a dream of spicy characters, but these companies might get cold feet anyways about upsetting games journalists, and instead vote by a large margin to instead think adding more sexy to their games just means a slightly shinier helmet or slimmer suit. But I think the bigger issue at hand here is not even really Activision Blizzard, it's Microsoft, which owns them now. And I mean, let's not forget when Microsoft notoriously demanded things like this in their video games. This comes from naturalnews.com back in 2024 to prove my point, and it's titled, Microsoft says female video game characters should be fat and ugly to avoid stereotypes. Now that's one hell of a headline, a little out of line, but they're right. So in case you didn't know, Microsoft released a document to all of their studios that was titled Product Inclusions Actions Helping Customers Feel Seen. And as you can see here as I scroll through this document on screen, Microsoft demands its studios adhere to lazy and boring content moderation practices that have done nothing to sell their games or make them reach a wider market for years now. The entire thing reads like HR is just breathing down your neck the entire time, to ensure that you hit all the stupid criterias they think are important when it comes to making new games these days. Notice how none of these things listed here as I scroll through them say anything about ensuring the game runs well or looks good or plays great. It's just about making sure that you don't enforce stereotypes, make sure you don't offend people, blah blah blah. Just ensure your product has no edge, no identity, and pretty much speaks to absolutely nobody at all is all I'm getting from this. And the problem here, and it's a big reason why I'm bringing this up, is because this ties directly into what Asmongold said at the beginning in the whole Starcraft thing, which is that this industry truly is at a crossroads right now. Let's be real, guys, Marathon does need sexier characters and less made by committee art design to ensure it breaks into its highly competitive market in a way that will allow it to survive. But then at the same time, by having these awful character designs, it's not going to make the female cosplayers out here with the big followings want to support or really promote your game if the character design in question makes them look ugly in the process. It would probably just make them lose followers, if anything, which isn't good actually. And while these Korean studios could be the spark that Blizzard needs to stop milking old IPs and start innovating and bringing their IPs back on track, I think the Western hubris and frankly content police they got over there crying about genders will just step in to ruin anything good that could come from this. And while I'm sure that Asmongold's unfiltered rants will piss people off, the truth is that what he said was clearly potent enough to cause people to talk about it, and maybe a little shame is what Bungie needs so they can start giving Marathon some personality, if you ask me. Asmongold's Marathon take is a wake-up call. Games need to stop playing it safe. Korea's Starcraft push is a reminder that passion can still win, but none of this happens without you. So support the games and the creators who care. Call out corporate nonsense, and maybe tweet at Bungie to give Asmongold his spicy characters. Just don't quote him verbatim, or you'll probably get blocked. This then brings me to this from the Washington Post back in 2022, and it's titled, Xbox CEO Phil Spencer on reviving old Activision games as Microsoft positions itself as tech's gaming company. Phil Spencer would say this during the interview. We're hoping that we'll be able to work with them, he means Activision Blizzard by the way, when the deal closes to make sure we have resources to work on franchises that I love from my childhood, and that the teams really want to get. I'm looking forward to these conversations. I really think it's about adding resources and increasing capability. Reminder, this interview was from 3 years ago, and currently for the most part we haven't really seen anything new get made or announced since this was all done yet. So if Microsoft is smart with their games, which so far, let's be real, for the past 15 years they've been anything but, we could have some incredible games from franchises we love like Starcraft being revived, but the unfortunate truth when it comes to Microsoft's track record, in my opinion at least, is that they are without a doubt a software company first and a gaming company maybe 4 or 5 times behind their main objective. The point is that Microsoft isn't exactly known for fostering or cultivating their talent when it comes to the games they have on offer, especially when you compare them to say Sony or Nintendo, who have released many games that are both of quality and have sold in the millions, numbers Microsoft can really only dream of. Let's also not forget that during award season, Microsoft is usually always left out by the cold, even though unironically, if you didn't know, most of the game awards that have actually aired, they happen in the Peacock Theater, which if you didn't know, they used to be called the Microsoft Theater. So not only is Microsoft behind their competition in quality releases, their theater gets used year after year by their competition to rack up the awards and leave smiling while Microsoft is left to clean the chairs and throw away the excess food people didn't eat at the event. It's frankly embarrassing if you ask me, and I think this is why when I say that this industry is in need of a wake-up call and are at a crossroads that I mean it. There's no tangible reason why these franchises, whether it's Marathon, Starcraft, or more, can't flourish the way they should be able to either now or in the future. And the only thing that is holding it back, like always, are the iron grips of the Western studios and corporations that hold onto these intellectual properties, yet despite owning them, seem to never do nothing of interest with them ever. Do you know how long it's been since the last proper Starcraft game? The last actual product, technically game-wise, was Starcraft Remastered in 2017. That's 8 years ago, guys. It's been almost a decade since that franchise in particular has had any sort of time, love, or attention. Why don't we have a Terran-led Space Marine 2-like or Helldivers equivalent game experience with Starcraft characters and enemy types? Why don't we have a first-person shooter that is grim dark and part Resident Evil meets Halo? Why haven't we had a new RTS in this series in almost 10 years? Why aren't there at least some sort of animated TV shows or something, anything at all in development, to maybe expand and bring in new fans to a franchise this beloved? Why is all of this potential being squandered, and why can't these companies just let these clearly passionate developers, who in this case, these South Korean ones from all of these companies I mentioned, just take a crack at the franchise? Could it be because they don't want them to do it? I think the true reason is because Activision Blizzard, being as they are now, are likely worried that if these South Korean devs got a hold of StarCraft, they would be outdoing Blizzard at their own franchise if they were truly given the chance. And while it would lead to a resurgence for that franchise, Blizzard would, like Microsoft when the Game Awards ends every year, be left with egg on their face knowing that yet again, that something they built is being made better solely because their hands aren't on the steering wheel. And the same goes for Marathon, by the way. I guarantee you, if Bungie allowed its art direction and character design to be put in the hands of some very base South Korean or even Chinese artist, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Because all of the Marathon characters would undoubtedly be amazing to look at, to be sexy and badass, and there would already be TikToks and YouTube shorts and Twitter posts right now of various cosplayers dressing up as sexy neon-clad Marathon characters, but instead, that game's reveal has come and gone, and nobody has really cosplayed it, or not that I've seen anyways, and maybe that's the point of all of this. And the only thing holding these games and many other franchises back too are not the fans, but the people who hold these rights to these IPs instead. I, like many, would love a new StarCraft, a Warcraft open-world action RPG game in the style of Oblivion. Oh my god, that would be amazing. I would love a new prototype game. Activision owns that, by the way, too. And I would love a Diablo Souls-like game. I would love all of these and more, but it's not up to me, but Activision Blizzard and really Microsoft as well. And as long as they are more concerned pushing their no curvy women initiatives onto every studio and team they have over giving people what they want, then Microsoft will continue from a game platform viewpoint anyway, stagnating and continuing to sit in their seats as their rivals continue to reap every reward every year instead of them. And with Bungie, it truly is their last chance with Marathon, and while we all wait at the crossroads between oblivion and victory, I gotta ask, what do you think about all of this? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.